Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is now the seventh film of this 25-year-old plus Mission Impossible franchise. Once again, this is the third film in this franchise in a row, directed by Christopher McQuarrie. McQuarrie also has a screenplay credit for this film as well. Once again, Tom Cruise returns as Ethan Hunt, the rogue IMF agent, who this time, once again, with his team. Back is Benji, played by Simon Pegg, Luther, played by Ving Rhames, and Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust are in trouble, as now there's a rogue AI that is out there that could change the world for decades to come. Along the way, Ethan and his team meet Grace, played by Haley Atwell, who's a pickpocket thief who desperately needs something else in her life out of this situation. Also, you have villains Esai Morales as Gabriel, someone who is connected to Ethan Hunt's past, who once again makes things personal with Hunt. You also have Pom Klementieff as Paris, one of Gabriel's number one assassins that are going after our IMF team. Henry Czerny returns as Kittredge, his first appearance as his character since the very first film. Shea Wiggum and Greg Tarzan Davis play Dagus and Briggs, who are a part of the CIA who are going after Ethan Hunt. And you also have Vanessa Kirby back from the last movie as the White Widow, someone who is one of the bidders to get this rogue AI. The film is 2 hours and 43 minutes long and is PG-13. Welcome back to a brand new movie review here in Max Talk Movies. We're talking about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. If you're new to the channel, I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, movie rankings, which I will be doing for this franchise on Monday, as well as my box office breakdown show on Monday as well. So please stay tuned for that. Comment down below. First of all, if you've seen this film, did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you feel like this needed to be a part one? I'm gonna if you have not seen it, tell me, are you gonna check it out in theaters? Is this one of your favorite action or just film franchises of all time? Let me know in the comment section down below. No spoilers in this video. Also, please like the video, the thumbs up button. So coming in for this movie, I was so excited. Other than like Star Wars, to me, this is my favorite film franchise of all time. And while obviously I was not born yet until even Mission Impossible 3 came out, this is still an absolutely franchise that I grew up with, and I still love to this day. Again, this franchise started all the way back in 1996. 27 years now, Tom Cruise has been playing Ethan Hunt, obviously Ving Rhames as well as Stay Alive, but again, I have only been alive for this franchise since Mission Impossible 3, and you don't really see a franchise, even now 7 movies deep, that get increasingly better, fresh, don't get stale, and aren't just assuming, well, it's a Mission Impossible movie, we expect people to go to the box office and see it. This movie delivers every single time with the last installment, especially Fallout. That is my favorite Mission Impossible film. And really, other than 2, they've had all amazing films that a lot of people discuss as one of their favorite Mission Impossible. So I was very excited. I was not worried about the runtime. I also knew coming into this was a part 1. Now, again, this movie is marketed as a part 1, and the opening credits says it's a part 1. So there's no surprise there, which I also like as well. So let's get into my positives, the negatives, and then my score. I'm going to go with my positives just right away. I love this movie, and I don't think it's the best Mission Impossible film. I still think Fallout is, and I don't want to spoil my full rankings, but this is a fantastic film. And honestly, I think it's the best part 1 maybe ever, because a lot of part 1s have so many issues. I think we've really got probably the 2 best part 1s I've ever seen in a movie franchise, with both Across the Spider-Verse and Dead Reckoning Part 1. 2 fantastic films, and I do think this film actually does a better job feeling like a more satisfying ending than doing a cliffhanger. Yes, the movie definitely ends with an open ending thing, setting things up for the next movie, but this film has complete character arcs, complete stories, but gets you excited, not feeling like there's meat left on the table for the next movie. And I say, before I get into the Tom Cruise of it, which obviously we're going to talk about, I think the person who's really become probably the second most important person to this franchise has been Christopher McQuarrie. He is once again directing this film. He started teaming up with Tom Cruise back in 2012 with Jack Reacher, and has stayed a part of basically Tom Cruise's group ever since Jack Reacher back in 2012. He wrote a screenplay for Edge of Tomorrow in 2014. has now written the last 3 Mission Impossible films. Did have a screenplay credit on The Mummy, but also wrote the screenplay for Top Gun Maverick as well. He is just as valuable to this franchise, a little bit less, but still up there with Tom Cruise. Both of them as a combo have made an amazing first 3 movies together in this franchise. Obviously, Top Gun Maverick was a huge, he didn't direct it, but directing specifically, these movies have become a lot more epic in scale, but just gorgeous. Yes, the locations. We go to Rome in this movie, Amsterdam, Abu Dhabi. There's a lot of great locations in the movie, but locations are locations, and it's up to the director and the DP, the director of photography, to really make those locations pop. And this movie is absolutely gorgeous from start to finish. And I also think one of the credits that doesn't really go with franchises like this is the screenplays. Again, Christopher McQuarrie is the co-writer of this movie with writer Eric Jenderson, whose other writing credits are just not big at all. So congrats to him for getting the gig and writing a really great screenplay. This movie definitely has a lot going on, more characters than usual, and it has a rogue AI. And it feels like this movie easily could have been difficult to follow, too complicated for its own good. But for me, for about 90-95% of the movie, I was on the page, understand everything that was going on. And what Mission Impossible does better than most franchises is that its exposition dumps are interesting. There's quick dialogue, entertaining characters, and entertaining, charismatic actors delivering the exposition. They have to. And what's cool about this movie being a rogue AI movie, that it's a technological spy espionage movie, which this franchise has never been before. Yes, there's been a lot of high tech in this movie, but really the main villain now, yes, we'll get into Gabriel and Paris in a second, but the main villain inevitably is just the rogue AI, and I think that this franchise has never done before. And I felt like this movie, I think more than any of the films in this franchise before, has genuinely high stakes. Now, I think all the other films do have high stakes, but I think this is the first Mission Impossible film that of the main group, obviously the main team of Ethan Hunt, Luther, Benji, and Ilsa, you really feel like all of them are in serious danger and might not make it out of this movie. And I think a lot of times in these type of movies, you just assume, oh, it's Mission Impossible, they're the IMF. There are times where you just feel like it's inevitable that someone either is going to get injured, killed, something like that. And this franchise has never, for me, had that feeling until this movie. And it just raises the stakes really early in this movie by setting up in an amazing opening scene what this rogue AI is and what it's capable of, and how our characters are basically in danger from the moment we see them for the very first time on screen. The sense of danger, and I think, as I said, these characters all have satisfying character arcs. I think this is probably one of the best character arcs that Ethan Hunt has had since all the way back, maybe even to the first movie, maybe in the third movie if you count his relationship with Michelle Monaghan. But he has a complete character arc, even though obviously it's a part 1 of a 2-part story. But he has a very satisfying but compelling character arc in this movie. And that really comes with the inclusion of a fantastic new character of the franchise of Grace, played by Hayley Atwell, who is very magnetic and charismatic in this movie. This will easily be one of the best Mission Impossible characters they have gotten so far. And I think all of us have just always kind of been dumbfounded why Hayley Atwell has not really done anything major or been a well-known actress outside of playing Peggy Carter in the MCU. And this movie, I think, really shows her chops, her acting skills, and she has amazing, amazing chemistry with Tom Cruise. They are basically the co-leads of the movie. And she also, I think, has a complete unique and fresh arc that fits within Ethan's IMF team. She's very fascinating. She's a pickpocket who, yes, can get into the action, but she's also very terrified and is afraid for a lot of the movie. And I feel like her and Tom Cruise just have great chemistry. She was the perfect character to add into this movie. As usual, Simon Pegg delivers the best comedy for me of the entire movie. Ving Rhames as Luther always delivers, especially when he has that, heart-to-heart scene that he has in every Mission Impossible movie. And Rebecca Ferguson has been my favorite character of this franchise. And once again, she is terrific in this film as well, as we get really more of the sense of the romantic relationship between Ilsa and Ethan. Vanessa Kirby gets a big upgrade from what she did in Fallout in this film. She's terrific, and you can see why a lot of these big time movies now. She's rumored to be Sue Storm in the MCU. She's an up and coming, clearly not up and coming, a rising superstar, I think, now in Hollywood. And it's great that she has this franchise now going as well, because she is fantastic in this movie. I was actually shocked how much she's in the movie. She's in the movie a lot more than I think you guys are going to expect coming in. And she's fantastic in the film as well. Also, Henry Czerny coming back as Kittredge was the perfect person to bring back, especially from the original Mission Impossible film. Great delivery. He's such an iconic scene with the aquarium thing in the first Mission Impossible film. And he's, again, another perfect person to bring back. But the one person I haven't talked about is Tom Cruise. And it is amazing that we're at this point with Tom Cruise and these action scenes. It is incredible. And yes, the action scenes, the reality of him doing all of these stunts is still jaw-dropping. I don't think there's as many jaw-dropping action scenes, I think, than Fallout. But Tom Cruise brings it. Obviously, the one where he goes off the cliff. It is amazing that, obviously, upon the release of this movie, that Tom Cruise is 61 years old. And I feel like even though the older he gets in this franchise, the bigger and the better the action scenes and more daring the action scenes have gotten over the last 27 years. It is amazing. And Tom Cruise is not here for the paycheck. You can just tell he's fully committed to playing Ethan Hunt. As a character he clearly loves. And I also think this is the first time where Ethan really gets to be funny. This movie is hilarious. Obviously, Benji and Luther are always funny. But there's some really great comedy with Ethan Hunt. Especially there's a great car chase scene that brings out a lot of the Tom Cruise humor with Ethan and Grace, which I thought was fantastic. But again, Tom Cruise is the biggest movie star. And he continues to paint the picture of people needing to go to the movie theaters to see his movies. And I agree. His movies, especially if you look at Top Gun Maverick last year and Dead Reckoning Part 1 this year, these movies that need to be seen on the biggest screen possible. And it's the jaw-dropping behind the scenes of Christian McQuarrie and the amazing stunt work performed by Tom Cruise, these actors and the stunt people, but also Tom Cruise on screen as his character. There's so many magnetic, charismatic people. And while Tom Cruise is clearly the biggest by far star in this movie, everyone gets to shine. Everyone has at least something going on as a character arc. As I said, Haley Atwell stands right next to Tom Cruise, and very believably, she's fantastic in this movie. The action scenes are a lot of fun. Also, for being 2 hours and 43 minutes, this movie flew by. There's one part, which I'll get to my negatives, that definitely dragged, but this movie flew by for 2 hours and 43 minutes. It was an absolute blast from start to finish. I'll talk about a couple of the action scenes I like. There's an airport scene, which really isn't action. It's more espionage. It's one of my favorite sequences that this franchise has ever done. As I said, this also, for me, is the most intense, thrilling Mission Impossible movie that we've also gotten so far. So as you can tell how much I adore this movie, I love it. And let's get into some of a couple of my critiques. The train sequence, which is you're seeing a lot of it in the trailer, that for me goes on a bit too long. That's kind of the only time I felt the runtime of the movie. I felt like they were on the train forever in this movie, and at times it was just a bit too long. Another thing I have a problem with is kind of the human, I guess, villains in the movie, with Gabriel played by Esai Morales and Paris played by Pom Klementieff. Both do a very solid job in the movie, but they're easily the least interesting parts of the film, especially Pom Klementieff, which is a shame. She looks really cool in the movie. And she gets to kick a lot of ass in the movie, but there really isn't any character to her. She's just kind of, dialogue restricted assassin. And I think Pom Klementieff has shown outside of the franchise with Mantis in the MCU that she can be very charming, even in a villain role. Hopefully, more movies can use her in better ways. She's fun to see in the action scenes. It's a big deal that she's in this movie, but she was definitely the least interesting character in the movie. And I'm very mixed on Gabriel. He just is a weak villain, especially when you come off back-to-back movies of Solomon Lane. We've gotten Philip Seymour Hoffman, Jon Voight. There are a lot of powerhouse villains in this franchise. And Gabriel's a character who I get why they really try to connect Gabriel back to the first Mission Impossible movie. But the character itself does not feel like a threat. The The AI itself feels like a threat. I think they try to really make you feel like Gabriel is a threat to our team. And at times, I just don't buy Gabriel being that overarching threat that our team should be afraid of. But overall, guys, as you can tell, I want to keep talking about this movie for a long time, but I can't. I adore this movie. It's definitely my favorite action movie of the year so far. Yes, it might not have the breathtaking action that John Wick Chapter 4 Extraction 2 might have, but it's mixed with amazing action scenes with, though, deep storytelling, characters that you care about, actors who are bringing it all, and a story that is very entertaining to watch from start to finish. So this, for me, is, as of now, my favorite movie of the year. I love Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, dying for Part 2 coming out in 2024. I'm going to give Dead Reckoning Part 1 a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm going to get, sorry, I guess it's a 5 out of 5 star movie if you count my rating, basically. I'm going to give it a 96%, 5 out of 5, 96% for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. What are your thoughts on this movie? Let me know in the comment section down below. See you guys soon.